All right, guys, let's talk about some of the biggest NFL overreactions heading out of Week 4 of the NFL season with New York Post columnist Steve Serby in this week's challenge flag. I could have done that a little bit better of justice. All right, here's how it works, people. For you watching for the first time, I'm going to say a statement, overreaction. Serby is going to agree and tell me why or throw the challenge flag. Wait to see what the challenge flag is going to be, people. We got a special little prop for you guys. All right, Serby, you ready?
Challenge towel.
Challenge towel. We will change the segment name after this. First one, the Buffalo Bills exposed the Miami Dolphins.
Throwing it.
Throw it. Why?
Well, look, I think we forgot how good the Bills are. We forgot how good Josh Allen can be. After that fiasco against the Jets on opening night. They've got 16 sacks, 8 interceptions. Von Miller hasn't even played for them yet. And look, the Bills Mafia makes that a tough place to play. But the Dolphins still have Tua, who was in the MVP conversation and still is. They've got Tyreek Hill, who was shut down by the Bills. They've got Jalen Waddle. And in that game against the Bills, they didn't have one of their elite pass rushers, Jalen Phillips, and they were missing their center. But they still have Mike McDaniel, who is a creative play caller, and Vic Fangio, for some reason, struggles against the Bills, but he's an elite defensive coordinator. So I'm sorry, I'm throwing the challenge towel on that one. The Dolphins have not been exposed.
Yeah, they're also missing Jalen Ramsey to be that CB2 opposite of Xavier Howard. So when he gets back, that'll shore up that secondary as well. And then when those two teams play again, if they're full strength, then we can kind of we'll go back to that when it's time. All right, the second one, the Bengals are the biggest disappointment through 4 games.
Nope, got to throw it again. Oh, threw it too far that time. Not to me, they're not. My preseason prediction, I had the Bengals missing the playoffs.
Wow.
Now, I didn't know that Joe Burrow would be plagued by a calf injury and is a shell of himself. But the biggest disappointment to me, and Brandon, you were at the game last night, is the New York Giants.
Ooh.
I mean, they cannot function as an offense. Something is missing, the swagger, the fire, whatever you want to call it. But Brian Dable has a crisis on his hands. I thought they'd make the playoffs. I thought the second year of Dable and Kafka and Daniel Jones, that triumvirate together, would ascend. And the second year under Wink Martindale, I thought that defense with Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari, that would work. Now, yes, they were missing Andrew Thomas, and God, they badly miss him, and Saquon Barkley, who's the heartbeat of that offense, really. But that's no excuse. The Seahawks were missing guys, too. So, the Giants are in big trouble. They're 1-3 and looking at 1-5 with road games in Miami and in Buffalo. You were there last night, Brandon. What did you think?
I mean, it was a big disappointment, honestly. Anytime that the hype or the noise and the expectation rises when it comes to this team, they don't reach that mark. They have yet to do that, especially on prime time. And we got another Giants challenge flag statement coming up, so we'll go into further detail on them. The third one, Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud will win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Well, my preseason pick was Bijan Robinson, but when a quarterback starts off the way C.J. Stroud is starting out, no interceptions, 6 TD passes. Right now, I'm not going to throw the challenge flag on that one. The guy looks like a natural. He's a leader. He loves Houston. He's made stars out of Nico Collins and Tank Dell. And, remember when he was drafted, there was all this talk about his 18% score on this S2 cognition test. Well, his response to that was, I'm not a test taker. I'm a quarterback. I'm a football player. And he sure is a football player. He sure is a quarterback. And he's, all the people that said Ohio State quarterbacks can never make it in the NFL might be eating their words right about now. This kid looks like a natural. He and Anthony Richardson both look better than Bryce Young right now.
ProvingTheHatersWrong.com is the login, people. The 1-3 Jets are better than the 1-3 Giants.
Wow. Well, after last night, I can't throw the challenge flag on that. Watching the Giants last night, they seem to have replaced the Jets as arguably the worst team in football. Now, until they can get somebody blocked, until they can keep Daniel Jones from getting his head knocked off, until they can find Darren Waller, who had 3 catches last night, 2 of which were in garbage time, until all that happens, and with Zach Wilson showing the first signs that he can be something other than Joe Namath's worst enemy, I've got to say that right now the 1-3 Jets going into Denver are better than the 1-3 Giants.
I have to agree with that one, Serby. Last but not least, Baker Mayfield is this year's Geno Smith.
Well, I'd like to see Baker succeed and silence his critics. Look, he's in a situation where he's got Mike Evans, who's banged up right now with a hamstring, and he's got Chris Godwin, and he's got a tight end named Oten that he can rely on, and he's got a running back that looks capable, and Rashad White, and he's got a defensive head coach. So why not for Baker? Baker all these years was doing more commercials than throwing touchdown passes, and he's in a division that's very winnable. So kudos to him. Maybe he's matured a little bit. Maybe he's grown up a little bit. So I'm not going to throw the challenge flag on that one. I'm going to say, yeah, he's going to be this year's Geno Smith.
Yeah,
they wrote him off, but he ain't right back.
He ain't right back, though. The TB stands for Tampa Baker. All right, Serby, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. See you, Brendan. Thanks.